Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we're checking out a video that was recommended. I have forgotten who recommended this video because I should have done this video 10 years ago, but I didn't. Right, so we're gonna be checking out this video right now. So thank you for watching as usual. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It is titled Club Mate, The Lost History of Germany's Trendiest Soda. I've never had one of these before. I don't really drink sodas, to be honest. If I, couple like a fast food or something like that, I'd definitely get me a soda, but it's not one of my favorites at all. I just don't think it's something what I'm saying. I don't really mess with it like that. I'll drink it every now and then, but you know what I mean? I'm more of a water guy, water, milk. What else? Yeah, that's it. That's about it. That's all I do, water or milk. So yeah, kind of a shit person, honestly. I don't really mess around with a lot of things, I'm a simple guy, you know what I mean? But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna be checking out this video right now. It's coming from the My Name Is and Adong YouTube channel. A link will be in the description so you guys can go check him out. He got 703,000 subscribers. Good lord, oh my days. Anyways, we're gonna be checking out this video right now, so thank you for watching. And yeah, if I see one of these in Finland, honestly, I'm gonna buy it.
Part of this video is sponsored by Brilliant. Enter any German supermarket and you're guaranteed to find this. Club Mate, probably among its many competitors. At first glance, it's just another soda or sparkling iced tea. Okay, a soda with a very special taste. We'll get to that. But Club Mate is so much more than that. It's a cultural icon, an essential part of life in urban Germany. What's most fascinating though is nobody really seems to know where Club Mate really came from. I grew up in Berlin and I remember how around 20 years ago, almost overnight, Club Mate was everywhere you looked. Completely out of nowhere, or so it seemed. What a lot of people...
It's kind of cool that it's in glass bottle though. That's very rare.
New is that Club Mate was made from yerba mate, a South American plant a little similar to tea. I mean, it says so right here on the bottle. What only a few people knew is that the rise of the drink had something to do with Berlin's underground techno and computer hacking scenes. But what nobody knew is that Club Mate was actually 100 years old and had almost disappeared not once, but twice before it even got popular. As a Berliner, naturally, I thought this is a story that deserves to be told. So I reached out to the one brewery that exclusively produces Club Mate. I thought maybe I could do an interview or get a tour of the factory, but no. Instead, I got the most peculiar reply. The company said they really like my channel, but as a general rule, they don't do any type of marketing or publicity whatsoever. And I don't even think that's an excuse. Nobody had ever seen a commercial for Club Mate. No sports team or event is ever sponsored by Club Mate. So what's with all the secrecy? What is the 100+ year story of Club Mate, and how did it go from a South American jungle tea to Germany's trendiest drink without ever running a single ad? I have all the answers to all of your questions, but to truly get to the bottom of the story, we first need to understand its hero ingredient, and that is yerba mate. Yerba mate has deep roots in South America, where it's a wild plant native to the Parana region of Brazil. The indigenous Guarani, for example, cherished it and were chewing and sipping on mate leaves, both for energy and as a medicine, way before the first Europeans had even showed up. In the 16th century, Jesuit monks came over from Europe and fell in love with mate. It was actually them who pioneered the first large-scale cultivation methods, which was big because mate only grew wild before that. With that innovation, over the next few centuries, the popularity of mate skyrocketed, earning it the nickname green gold. And that pretty much lasts to this day. Yerba mate is grown and consumed in crazy quantities in countries like Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil. It's known for its health benefits and as a more pleasant energy booster than coffee. But the real magic lies in...
Wait, what?
In South America, drinking yerba mate is a communal activity. People gather in a circle, pass around a special gourd filled with the tea, and sip through a metal straw called a bombilla. The taste is kind of grassy and smoky because it does get dried and lightly roasted over fire traditionally, but it does have that pleasant tea-like depth and a mild hint of bitterness. Even though it's definitely an acquired taste, I actually think it's pretty good. But in 19th century Europe, yerba mate was virtually unheard of. Only a few doctors, scientists, and maybe wealthy world travelers would have even heard of yerba mate, and they all agreed that due to its harsh taste and complicated drinking method, This stuff was not gonna catch on in Europe. But there was something they had all missed. In the 19th century, there's this big health and lifestyle movement across Europe and North America. Without going too deep into that rabbit hole, people were moving away from alcoholic drinks like beer and wine all day, every day, and increasingly replacing them with mildly stimulating beverages like tea and coffee, or medicinal or just tasty soda pops. Carbonated, sweetened drinks. Some of the most successful drinks even combined both. Remember, this is the era where Coca-Cola and Vern Mariani were born, which both contained cocaine. I made a video about that before, which I'm gonna put here? I think here. In short, the market for
Wait, so it wasn't a lie? It wasn't, it was, wait, what? Dude.
soda and lemonade.
What? Oh my gosh. This Club Mate is insane, dude. First of all, it sounds as if it's a very pleasant drink to have, right? One of my favorite sodas of all time, I don't really drink it anymore, obviously, would be Dr. Pepper, right? It's not something that you can really find in Europe as easy as you can in the United States, actually, but it's my favorite, right? Because of its unique taste. It's very different, right? So I'm actually pretty shocked at the Club Mate and the relations it has. But then when he dropped the bomb, he like, Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. I'm like, I've heard that before, but I ain't never believed it.
The world was booming and entrepreneurs were eagerly experimenting to discover the next big thing. And if you look hard enough, you can come across this 1906 food encyclopedia published in Imperial Germany. It mentions Yermet, a yerba mate based sparkling drink with an extraordinarily stimulating effect, perfectly suited for travelers. And if you're thinking it's just a stroke of luck that the first mate produced soda happens to have been produced in Germany, I don't think so. This is not a coincidence. Since the 19th century, significant numbers of Germans have been migrating to Brazil for work or seeking a better life. To this day, you have German towns in Brazil's Parana region.
It's actually wild how migration or immigration or whatever is such a frowned upon thing, but in reality, it's literally the core of humanity. Like, if you cut immigration out, everything just will literally die. Like, literally nothing will survive. It's actually kind of wild. Like, even going to a 9-to-5 job, we may hate it, but if we don't do it, shit is gonna like literally become like really bad, you know? So like a society that has more people that actually works is a society that is actually functioning properly. But a society that has more people that lives off of government assistance is a failing society, because eventually, you know, the money that creates that is gonna be, you know, I ain't gotta go in all the explanation. It's actually quite wild, actually.
They look more German than Germany itself, and even
What
host
the hell?
in Brazil's Parana for work or seeking a better life.
So this is not
day, you have
Germany.
German towns in Brazil's Parana region, and they
Wow.
look more German than Germany itself, and even host huge Oktoberfests. That region, of course, happens to be exactly where yerba mate is from, so it would only be a matter of time until some savvy people back in the German motherland would get their hands on some mate, love its health benefits and stimulating effects, and think to themselves, if only this stuff tasted better, we'd really have a cool product on our hands. Well, here's a thought. Why don't you try turning yerba mate into one of these super trendy sparkling sodas? The first ones with that idea were actually two dudes from the German city of Dresden all the way back in 1903. They owned a beverage factory and, very conveniently, a drinking hall right in the city center. Their mate soda was called Hectormin, and I don't know if it's the terrible name or just bad luck, but that project seems to have fizzled out within a few years without any notable success. But let's get back to that old food encyclopedia entry. Remember how it actually mentions a very particular brand called Yermet, and if you look at the very end of the article, you'll see it even mentions the manufacturer. Enter Hugo Obst. As an entrepreneurial pharmacist from the German city of Bayreuth, he is all in on the soda gold rush and experiments with making tasty things from mate extract. Only 3 years after the guys in Dresden, and with apparently no connection to them whatsoever, he comes up with his own mate soda, and he calls it Yermet. There it is. And his business instincts seem to be much better. He moves his production to Köstritz in nearby Thuringia, where he attracts a few business partners and investors, and his mate soda grows into a pretty promising new product. If only World War I didn't get in the way. With the German economy and supply lines from South America completely disrupted, Obst's Mate company goes bankrupt within a few years. But even though production stopped for almost an entire decade, the drink had already generated a small but somewhat loyal fan base. Even though Obst himself had died around the beginning of the war, some of his business partners revived the beverage in the 1920s.
Well done.
As Bronte,
That's actually crazy. Went away for a whole decade. Like, that's crazy.
or Sektbronte. Sekt being the German word for sparkling wine, which Mate sodas definitely do resemble. They even launched a second brand, by all accounts the exact same stuff as Bronte, just with a different label slapped over it, so now they call it Club Mate and target a second, a different demographic. So yes, Club Mate first appears exactly 100 years ago under that name,
Wow.
even though it's essentially the exact same stuff as Yamet, which had been invented another 20 years before that. Both were marketed as healthier, more refreshing, alcohol-free substitutes. And step by step, Sekt Bronte and Club Mate were winning over more and more people. So much so that by the 1930s, the brewery in Köstritz actually couldn't keep up with the high demand, so they had to license a dozen or so smaller factories to help manufacture additional
What?
products for them. Once again,
That's crazy.
Soda, this time already under the name Club Mate, was ready to take over the world, and once again,
World War
a
II.
World War. Anyway, it was essentially the same story. The economy and supply lines were under heavy strain, and sparkling iced tea was hardly a priority in the war-torn Third Reich. And who knows, right? Maybe production could have picked up after the war again, like it did before, with Germans continuing to enjoy Club Mate, but history had other plans. On October
Really?
7th, 1949, the Socialist German Democratic Republic is founded, officially kicking off decades of a divided Germany. The original brewery in Köstritz was quickly nationalized, and the new government mostly tasked it with producing beer. Somebody must have forgotten to put Club Mate on the next 5-year plan. And with that, Club Mate was this close to disappearing to never be seen again. But it didn't, which we're going to get into after a quick word from this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is where you'll learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons on math, programming, data analysis, and AI.
Really?
How do they do that? By being a platform unlike any other. Brilliant is designed to be uniquely effective with a first principles approach that builds your understanding of complex topics from the ground up. Like me, you've probably sat through some pretty dull lectures in your life. With Brilliant, no more. The methods between their hands-on playful videos have been shown to be 6 times...
Was that a stoplight operation thing? Because I actually know how to do that.
With Brilliant, no more. The methods
Oh my gosh. Wow.
between their hands-on playful videos have been shown to be 6 times more effective than watching lecture videos. Crafted by an award-winning team, Brilliant helps you build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not memorizing.
Yes. I hate that. I like when things are active and intuitive. That's very good.
Become a better thinker. Plus, with fun, quick lessons, you can develop a powerful daily learning habit in just minutes a day. It's the perfect alternative to mindless scrolling. I, for one, am really impressed with their course on large language models. This topic has become so incredibly important in the past few years, and I can finally get a true understanding of how it all works. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/andong or click the link in the video description below. You'll even get 20% off an annual premium subscription. That's brilliant.org/andong. Thank you, Brilliant, for sponsoring this video.
Pretty rad,
Remember how
dude.
Club Mate in the 30s was so popular they had to license other manufacturers to
Yes,
produce it for them?
yes,
One of
yes.
these sub-manufacturers, a small brewery named Geola from Dietenhofen, somehow managed to secure the rights to the original recipe. Dietenhofen was in capitalist Western Germany, so the owner could pretty much do what he wanted, and since he'd been a fan of Club Mate for decades, he decides to keep the tradition alive. They retire the vintage Bronte brand, and from the 1950s on, Club Mate is the only mate-based soda on the market. Geola supplied quite a few pubs and guest houses in the region with beverages, so quite a few of them would order a few cases of Club Mate here and there with their beers, still remembering the stimulating effects of Bronte from pre-war days. Decades pass as Club Mate becomes a mild...
Yeah, I can't imagine how Germans actually felt after the war. Man, it had to be like such a horrible period. Like, damn.
popular niche drink in just one region of Franconia in northern Bavaria and pretty much nowhere else. Or should we say almost nowhere. You see, Club Mate had always been a love it or hate it product. Even though it was now only produced in one small local brewery, it would only be a matter of time until one dedicated fan takes a case or two to some other part of the country to become the snowball that eventually kicks off an avalanche. And presumably, that's exactly what happened. It's the 1980s, and deep in the urban centers of Germany, all sorts of subcultures are thriving, exploring alternative ways of life and thought, or exploring the boundaries of art and technology. Enter the hackers. Sometime around the late 80s and early 90s, with personal computing on the rise, a number of mostly young enthusiasts were getting together and challenging each other to what can be done with computer code. Many people call them the hackers, because they know how to use a computer. First in Hamburg.
Yeah, hacker is literally, to hack means to manipulate like the computer actually. So yeah, it's actually
in freshly reunified Berlin, these hackers would make a discovery that would change the scene forever. Club Mate. I mean, it had a lot going for it. It was a small local product, not produced by a giant like Pepsi or Coke. Even the branding has an alternative, almost amateurish look to it. It has a lot more.
It's pretty cool.
Half the sugar of Coca-Cola, keeping you awake and energized through long nights of coding. By the 90s, no hackathon or coder conference in Germany, and there were many, was complete without copious amounts of Club Mate. It would even start building a reputation as the Hackerbrause or hacker soda, fueling Germany's emerging software and tech startup scene. But aside from promising startups, Berlin around the turn of the century was also known for something else.
What's that?
Nightlife and techno music have been a defining part of the city's modern culture. It was the decades after reunification, with tons of real estate and legal limbo, that made the birth of legendary clubs like Berghain possible. And while it's no secret that drugs are definitely a thing in Berlin clubs, there were also legal substances for people to enjoy. There was alcohol, and there was Club Mate. I mean, club is kind of in the name and it keeps you awake, so I suppose it doesn't take a whole lot of imagination, but still. And this is where Club Mate starts cementing its role as a legendary drink for broader parts of the population. At least in Berlin, that is. The rest of
that's legendary, dude.
But yeah, I remember quite vividly when back in the 2000s, a few people in my circle of friends would insist on finding a shop that sells Club Mate every single time we'd go out clubbing. And let me mention, it wasn't exactly an easy sell, I mean, taste-wise. Most people, including me, hate it when they try it first. They
really?
It tastes like an ashtray, which it kind of does. But it has this nice stimulating effect that when you try it for the second or third time, almost everybody eventually comes around to it. And this weird love-hate game, the whole, you gotta try it and eventually you like it, I promise messaging, all just added to the buzz. The crazy and even genius part is that the brand truly relied 100% on word-of-mouth marketing. The whole mystique of a fuck attitude of Club Mate helped it grow organically, carried by a brand.
Oh shit, they actually have these in Finland. No shit. Oh, 365? Holy shit! That's not cheap! Focus! Look at that, 365! Holy smoke. That's actually not cheap. Holy shit. If this video actually gets a solid amount of views, or some of them sort of like that, I'm definitely gonna see if I can get one of them drinks, bro.
Image that was alternative and edgy, yet humble. A reliable and efficient product with an interesting story that pulls people in rather than pushing itself onto them. Although to be 100% fair, that genius was probably accidental. Even though sometime in the 90s, the Giola brewery sold the rights to Club Mate to another local brewery that still owns them to this day, both of them were actually never too keen to advertise the drink. In fact, they were even reluctant to even sell it to Hamburg or Berlin back in the day. Legend has it they would only let you buy mate if you also bought their beer, which I've tried and it's pretty average. So that's a pretty smart business move, I guess. But of course, today, at least in terms of distribution, they've come around a bit and you can buy Club Mate in every major city in Germany, even in some rural areas. Oh, and in 50 plus countries all over the world. Although success for Club Mate outside of Germany has yet to happen. We'll see if it does, because to this day, Club Mate sticks to its principle of no marketing, although this time it's definitely intentional. It's worked for them for decades. It's one of the things that made the brand mysterious and exciting. So why change?
That's pretty cool though.
Is still growing rapidly, and even though since the 2000s plenty of competitors have popped up, Club Mate still remains the #1 selling mate in Germany for over 100 years, as we learned today. Think about that next time you take a sip of Club Mate.
Dang, dude. That's so freaking cool, dude. Like, shout out to them, dude. The fact that they don't do all that advertising and they're actually so successful is like so shocking because 9 out of 10 times when there's a product, there's like mad marketing behind it and a lot of fakery. Honestly, something that is not marketed is likely the most authentic thing you'll ever have because they're not marketing anything, right? I'm not saying that when you market something it's fake. No, absolutely not. But a lot of people when they market things, it's usually just because of the hype. You know what I mean? So the fact that they were able to do that, they survived one and two world wars. That's insane. But it's amazing. I imagine there's a lot of people who if you ask them about their life, they'll tell you, oh, I want my kids to this, I want my kids to that, I don't want this, I don't want that. But when you really talk about life, if you were supposed to ask me, like, what would you want after you're no longer on this earth, it's to leave something of a legacy format. I don't want bloodline legacy. I don't that I don't have, that's not my thing. I want a legacy like this product. That's what I want. I want a real legacy. Club Mate. That's the legacy that I want because the founder, man, he if the dead has connection to the life where they can see what's going on, he's supposed to be super duper proud, dude. That's such an amazing story. Shout out to them, and shout out to the company that actually keeps the policy the same way, where they don't do promotions and they're they trying to keep the legacy off the beverage and how it actually originated. That's actually pretty respectful, and I actually appreciate that a lot. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. Link will be in the description for the original video, and yeah, I'm out of here. Peace.